Alright, what's going on, everybody? I know you can't fucking see me much. I know it's pretty shitty. But let's just deal with it for now. And when I get back into town, I will light up this shit so you can see me. Hey, it's Corey LeBlanc, Ceremonial Witch. Shit. You guys put out a video. My last video was about Solomonic, Goetic magic. And the times of the planets we should be doing specific rites. And I gotta say, I've been using these planets and their times for a while now, okay? So, like, without doubt, it works. But I would say the last 3 or 4 months, I haven't really been doing my practice right to the T, okay? So, like, let's say every 3 or 4 days, I do my ritual, which is bad. I should be doing it every day. And I used to do it twice a day, every day. So, like, I'm slipping, but I'm so, and it's not an excuse, because it's not worth the excuse. I can find a way. I'm just so tired and busy and just trying to keep up with everything. It just gets hard. And, you know, I've asked for more responsibility. I've asked for more money. I've asked for everything that comes along with being successful. And I've gotten it. But everything that's come along with it is also taking more of my time. Hence, I can't do these videos. Hence, I can't even, you know, anything. Like, it's been terrible. But at the same time, it's been great. So, the great outweighs the terrible. So, unfortunately, you guys suffer. But I mean, I don't have that many subscribers to really suffer if I don't put out a video. So, it is what it is. I hope I get to that point one day that if I don't put out a video, people feel like they're suffering. But, you know, I'm not at that point. Not even close. Anyways, the point of all this is that after I put out that video with the times and all that, initially I talked about a few different other things, but at the end of the video it was Goetic Magic. Well, I put the free PDF on my last video though, if you do want that. Greater Key of Solomon is what it was called. Greater Key of Solomon by, and I forget the writer's name, but that's the title of his book, and I played parts in it. So I used his version of Mercury's Hours this Wednesday because, truth be told, when I've been working, my knee's been killing me. My left knee, the way I've been sitting on it, I do roofing, right? I've been doing roofing lately, metal roofs more than shingles, but both take a toll on your knees. Well, for some reason, my knee on the inside tendon of my left knee, almost feels like I pulled like my ACL, because I've had that happen to my right leg, and it's got the same similar feeling on the inside. So it's been rough. It's been like 2 weeks like that. So after I put out that video last week, I made my invocation to Archangel Raphael, and then I put Mercury sigil on there as well. I made my statement of intent right on the candle, like I say I do, and now my knee's fine. Like, perfect. Like, absolutely beyond belief. No pain, no nothing. You know, nothing at all going on there. I can feel my leg, but I can't feel the pain. So, just a little hint. Use these planetary hours. They really work. It really works well. Without a doubt, you'll have success. Anyways, without any further ado, let's get into the episode. Here we go.
I never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. All these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. Trust I seek and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view, and nothing else matters. Oh yeah.
So, that was my new intro Thanks to Metallica, let me use your music. They didn't let me use shit, but I'm sure I'll get copyright infringements for it. And as far as everybody knows who's been listening for any time or any length of time, I don't give a fuck. But yeah, so that was the Metallica, Nothing Else Matters. I like some of those words in the songs, and they speak to me, so I figured, what the fuck, I'll make an intro with it. I'll try to superimpose it on my already made video, and it didn't work out too bad. I had to add some few shits in there. It's far from perfect, but you know, kind of my slogan, far from perfect, baby, but we're always evolving, and that's what we're supposed to do. So what do I talk about? What do I fucking talk about when everything is going to shit? We got this war in Ukraine, this shit going on with Russia, Putin. I mean, I played something not that long ago about Putin saying something pretty cool about how he acknowledged the atrocious acts of what happened in the 20th century in his motherland, let's say. And I thought he was a decent guy, but what's going on now is fucked. And I got a lot of people saying that, okay, well, it's just fake. It's just his turn. Trudeau was the Canada version of taking people's eyes off the prize and making everybody fucking, you know, trucker movement, the convoy. And that was the distraction in Canada. And now that that's over, well, now it's Putin's turn. And it can really seem like that. It can really seem like that. But the fact that I live in Canada, and I know this trucker convoy was happening before even Trudeau was worried about it. Because I was watching what was going on in Congress. I was in Ottawa a few times whenever the trucker convoy was starting from the west side of Canada in BC and started moving its way towards where I am in Ontario, which is an hour away from Ottawa. And he said, I'm not worried about this fringe movement. And then it hit Ottawa, and then he was real worried, so worried he hid, and then it got to its apex, its peak, its climax of the whole fucking situation, where people started getting ran over by fucking, you know, horses by the RCMP, and people's bank accounts were seized, and everything happened in Canada. And now it's all over, and everything's great. The Emergency Act's been removed. That's great. I made a candle for that to happen. But we have new legislation now that says that if you are part of a movement that they don't condone, well, they have the right now. It's legislation. They have the right now to seize your account, which is by Christian Freeland, or I forget her first name. It's our Minister of Finance in Canada. And her last name is Freeland, and she's from Ukrainian descent. And it's very hypocritical, the fact that she was seen this weekend, or last weekend, I think it was last weekend. One of these weekends, either the one right now we're currently in or the previous one, she was seen in Toronto at a, what'd they call it? They didn't call it a protest. Obviously they couldn't, because she was there. If they called it a protest, it would be very, very obviously hypocritical. But they called it a demonstration of people supporting Ukraine. And she's supporting the people that are in Russia who are protesting against Putin. So in her own country, if something goes wrong, she's going to freeze your bank accounts. But when it happens overseas, somewhere that doesn't affect Canada, doesn't affect her finance, doesn't affect her shit, she's able to go to rallies and go to demonstrations, protests, but we'll just call it demonstrations, rallies, and whatever else they want to call it, and give her support and say that the people of Russia should keep protesting until Putin gets the picture. That's what she's doing. But she was the one that freezed everybody's bank accounts here in my home country, you know, right in my province. That's where she's from. Well, it's not where she's from, but that's where she is currently working. Anyways, all that aside, the point of what I'm trying to get at is, what the fuck do I talk about? Do I keep talking about magic? Or do I illustrate what the fuck's going wrong with the world? Well, I think I keep talking about magic. Why? Because if individuals create their own reality, their own personal circumstances to the way they want them to be, then we will all be better off. It all starts at home. It all starts with us changing our personal circumstances. And that's what we need to do. That's what needs to be done. That's what has to happen. You know? Even though Ottawa's an hour away, and all these things happen, and all these Canadians got, you know, fucked over and beat up and arrested by cops, and there's war veterans that fought for this country getting arrested by the RCMP and Ottawa police and whatever other police departments that were there, because there was quite a few of them. Even though all that happened, it didn't affect me, you know? And it affected me because every time I watched it, I was brought to tears to the fact that these human beings are being brutalized by people that were told to uphold the law, serve and protect, and, you know, especially whenever I saw the vets getting taken down, it's like, these guys served our country to keep us, you know, safe. And that's the party line, right? So they fight to keep us safe, but yet they're against this movement, so they use their right to peaceful assembly, and then those rights get taken away because someone wants to just evoke the Emergency Act, and then now they have no rights anymore, and shit goes all to hell. Like, this is terrible. This is not the country that I want to be proud of. And I love living in my country. I think my country is one of the best countries there was up until recently. But all that's to say is, do I keep talking about all this bullshit that everybody else is talking about, or do I continue focusing on telling people how they can use old methods of manifestation to change their current circumstances? And I think that's the better option. Teach people how to change their current circumstances. Because if I do that, then they can change their own personal problems in their life to better situations. And then if they get a grasp on that, then they can try to change the status quo, what's going on in Parliament and all that shit. But until you can actually successfully change your own life, you have no business trying to change the status quo, what's going on in your province, your city, your town, your state, your little speck in the woods, let alone your country, your continent, or the fucking world. You have no business doing that. And that's always been my opinion and position, that you have no business trying to change things outside of your life if your life is in disarray and just shit. Just shit, to say the least, you know? Because I feel like I'm pretty confident in my abilities to be able to manifest things. And who was I to try to send a candle out for the Emergencies Act? I shouldn't have done that, because things in my life aren't perfect right now. I did it anyways because I was tired of seeing on the news and on these different media outlets of Canadians getting brutalized. But I didn't think anything would happen. I didn't think it would work. It worked, but I didn't think anything would come of it, let's say. But at the same sense, I understand the fact that, like, I don't have my life in order. I couldn't even run for a politician in my own city. So who the fuck am I to try to overthrow the hierarchy of politicians that are here in Canada doing what they think is right, even though it may not be right, but they think they're doing what's right. Who am I to try to overthrow that? I'm no one. But at the same time, if you are someone who's had success with magic and the ability to manifest what he wants or she wants, and you got your life together and your family's happy, your small circle, maybe you're like me, you got 4 kids and a wife and all that. We got all that under control and everybody's happy. Great. Okay. And then you got no problems with your mother or your mother-in-law or your father or your father-in-law or your friends. Everything's going great in your life. You've managed to fix all that. Then maybe you are semi-qualified to try to tackle the hierarchy, the government, the positions of power that are the ones who decide, like, okay, people came here, they had rights, but we'll invoke this emergency act, and now they have no rights. Haha, fuckers, you lows. You know, maybe if you have everything in order in your life, then you have the ability to be able to fight that. If you don't have everything in your life in order, then what makes you think that? That being said, I truly believe I wasn't one that was for the whole protest thing. The whole going out with banners and saying, hey, this is wrong, this is right. I wasn't one of those people. I took the Jordan Peterson kind of view of that. Meaning, like, I think I know what's best for the world. I put it on this piece of board. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to do what's necessary. And, you know, that's where a lot of my philosophy that I just spoke about comes from. The fact that if you haven't had your life in order, who the fuck are you to try to fix something bigger, like society, like the government, like situations happening in Parliament? How and where do you get the audacity to be able to fix that? That is my opinion. But at the same time as saying that, I think if we lose our right to protest against things that are going wrong in our society, I think we lose everything. I think because the only thing that can make our people in Parliament, people in government, are people that have the power. That's the only thing that makes them stop doing what they're doing and have to reassess, you know? Because when all this thing happened, Trudeau shut down the cabinet, he shut down the House of Commons, he shut down everything, right? And he invoked the Emergency Acts because he didn't want to deal with people, because he did everything illegally, let's say. And because he didn't want to deal with it. But there's channels you're supposed to go through to do specific things, and the protesters were being peaceful and they were trying to speak with him. He wouldn't speak with them. So that's just what's going on in Canada. I mean, and this doesn't even hold the candle to what's going on in Ukraine. And everybody and anybody who has family there or knows anybody in Ukraine, or even for the people that don't know anybody there but have been watching it and seen the lives that have been lost, my condolences goes out to every single one of you, because it's a terrible thing going on. And it breaks my fucking heart. This is happening in our day and age when we should be evolving. We seem like we're devolving. But anyways, if I keep talking about it, I'm gonna tear up. So I'm gonna stop talking about it. But my point is, we are not us as practitioners of whatever magical faith, or even if you're a Christian who believes in law of attraction or just some new age ideas or whatever the case is, we are not at the place where we should be trying to change that with spells and whatever magic we think we can do. Now, I'm guilty of doing the same thing. I've thrown there, I did things, and you know, some of it worked, some of it didn't work. Who knows? Maybe I had absolutely nothing to do with what happened. All I know is the next day, I asked for the Emergency Act to be revoked. It was revoked, so I thought that was pretty cool. But nonetheless, there's now new legislation that will fuck up anybody who tries to protest. And what I'm trying to say is that even if you're against the protest, even if you thought the protests were wrong, or, you know, whether or not all 90% of those truckers are vaccinated and they were doing whatever they were doing just because they wanted to get back to normal, because our prime minister said if 70% of us get vaccinated, then he'll lift mandates, no more masks, no more nothing, because that's the goal we got to reach. Well, we reached that. We superseded that. We passed that, and then nothing was changing, and we kept, you know, getting these, well, maybe this date, So the truckers and whoever organized Freedom Convoy 2020 or 2022, whatever it was, they said enough's enough, and people got on board with that because there's a lot of people sick of this shit. But there's a lot of people against that, and I feel for the people that couldn't work downtown in Ottawa. I feel bad for the people that this disrupted their life and everything else. But at the same time, we cannot get rid of our right to be able to protest, because it's the only thing that allows us to have some smidge of power to be able to change something if something is going wrong in our society. So, all that aside, I am not going to talk about Ukraine and Russia, even though it breaks my heart to see what's going on there. If you want to do magic to try to stop Putin, I would suggest you doing a minimal spell at the very least of, you know, you can say, okay, I'm so grateful that Ukraine knocked the shit out of Russia and killed, but then you're killing innocent soldiers that are just following orders. And if you decide that you're going to go the other way, and if you're for Russia, for whatever reason you might be, and I don't suggest you being for them, but once again, those are innocent soldiers being forced to do what they're supposed to do. So for the opposite reason, for just playing devil's advocate, because I'm so not for Russia, I'm for Ukraine. But if you were to be on the other side, you know, what kind of spell would you do to get the prime minister of Ukraine to be captured, and for them to find his wife and kids and all be murdered, and so, or at least held hostage until he gives up his, and then says, okay, we are now a Russian, part of the Russian country, and we are a state of Russia, or whatever, however they would word that. Like, we can't, it gets complicated. So at the very least, if you're going to do spells and stuff for it, do it for the innocent people that will no longer, that will be free now from losing their lives. I am so grateful that no Russian or Ukrainian, Russian or Ukrainian countrymen are free from losing their lives. You know, something like that, something vague ass that stops people from dying. And then you can also make spells for it. I'm so grateful that Putin has changed his mind, has revoked and pulled out of Ukraine, you know, because he's realized, and, you know, free from harm to him as well. Because, yeah, okay, maybe he deserves harm. Maybe he deserves a kick in the ass. Maybe he deserves to die, okay? And I'm not going to argue with that, because probably if he is given the orders to kill a bunch of innocent people that live in Ukraine, then yeah, he probably does deserve to die. But if you want to make change without consequence, what you would do is you would make a spell for him to just fucking just one day come down to his knees like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? This is wrong. And just realize that it was wrong and stop it, you know? And then people can try him and put him on trial and charge him and do whatever they have to do at that point, maybe, potentially. But you don't want to add fire. You don't want to add fuel to the fire, is all I'm trying to say. And that's the problem with trying to make spells out there. Though they can work, especially if you don't think they're going to work. They're most likely going to work, which is probably your best magic to start doing and practicing on. But at the same time, it's like, do you know what's best for these countries? Do you really know what's going on? Who does really know what's going on? So, all that being said, I think I should just focus on magic. How to change your life. What can you do to change your life? And I've said this all in the beginning, but I have 600 and some videos. People might not go back to the beginning of my podcast to figure it out. So, I will just speak about how to reprogram your mind and fix your current situation and circumstances, so that once you get a grasp on that, and you can start working outwards. Okay, so I got my life in order. Okay, so now I got a family. There's 5 other people in my family. Okay, got all that in order. Everybody's getting along within reason. Obviously, you can't keep it perfect, but everybody's getting along within reason. Okay, you stretch it outwards. So maybe your father, your mother, your sisters, your brothers, whoever it is, your friends, and you try to fix those situations. Then maybe you work on your city. And then if you're successful there, then maybe you have the ability to be able to change future events or bigger things that are happening on the world sphere all at once. That's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna take a pause for the cause right here, and you won't know because I'm gonna come right back on according to you. But for me, it's gonna be probably like an hour in between until I figure out the next thing I'm gonna talk about. But let's take a little break here, a little breather, and we'll see how we're going to proceed. Here we go.
Ceremonial witch. I'll get into that a little bit later, why I call myself that, if you guys even fucking care. But anyways, today is May the 3rd. Pretty cool day for me. My birthday is May 11th. My sun sign, my ascendant, and my Mercury, I want to say, are all in Taurus. So Taurus is huge for me. I actually have a few other things that correspond to Taurus and stuff like that. I don't call myself a Taurus because I like I said, I know my natal chart and all that. But anyways, it is just a little bit of an introduction that I want to get into. Just maybe by Because a lot of people maybe listen to this and be, well, who the fuck does this guy think he is, you know? What makes him qualified? Well, he's been studying fucking magic, ceremonial magic, witchcraft, and for 2 years, and just because he got a few checks and he can do a few things, that he's qualified to do this. And no, that's not why I'm doing this. Maybe that makes me qualified, maybe it doesn't. I have been successful at some things, but the reason I'm doing this is just to be another voice saying that this shit is real. There's a lot of false shit out there. There's a lot of, maybe, how do you want to put that, infiltration, I guess, into whether it's New Age, whether it's the magic, whether it's, anything spiritual, kind of an old version of spirituality changed to new. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there trying to make it ridiculous and stuff like that. And I guess I just want to be a voice for anybody who is unsure of this path, who is starting on this path, and some days believe wholeheartedly that this is real, and other days people get into their head when they watch something on YouTube or read a book and it's so outrageous that they just can't believe it. And that doesn't mean it's not true. That could be just paradigms, programming, whatever you want to fucking call it, what you were taught, clashing against it. But yeah, I just want to be another voice out there saying, this shit is real, this shit works. And, book learning and YouTube video watching, astrology, tarot, witchcraft, ceremonial magic, fucking hoodoo, fairy, fucking, into the Fae lores, the old, planetary magic is huge for me, or planetary bodies, planetary deities, whatever gods. Whatever it is, all of this stuff it works. But all these books for these things, all these videos you watch on these things, or from certain people's point of views, what have worked for them, and people that learn from these people or read these books and find their way, such as me, as I did, not actually doing word for word what they tell me to do in these books or in these videos. I mean, I take the process, the base process, and I use that. I use the fundamentals of that. I use this is what people have been doing since it's been recorded, and before Christ or whatever. So this is what has power. This is this is what's been done. But you gotta conform it. You gotta change it. You gotta play with it and know what works for you. I'm a huge believer in anybody getting down this path. I mean, you don't really need to know astrology to probably do magic, but you will learn something about your talents and your flaws and what you're strong at or good at and what you're not so good at by getting your birth chart. And some people will be like, well, I get my birth chart, but I don't know what this shit means. But you don't need to. I don't know what most of this shit means. I mean, I've read a few astrology books and I have some good correspondence. And after getting those base correspondence from the books, my intuition, whenever I can actually, get my conscious mind out of the way, however you want to put it, whenever I'm actually paying attention, I'll actually learn more from my intuition. But you don't even need to do that. Like I said, I have my ascendant is Taurus, my sun sign is Taurus, and my Mercury is in Taurus. I even think Crayon might even be there. I'm not sure. And gods and the connection to the mind and all that. And I just want to state real fast that this is not anything I learned in any books. I mean, it may be. I do sometimes put on a book and fall asleep, and I wake up and it's not done because like a blank page or something came up on my phone. But it went through a lot of the book in my sleep. And I mean, if you know anything about hypnosis and why you shouldn't go to bed with the TV on and stuff like that, shit gets in your mind when you sleep. Subconscious mind before you go to sleep, shit like that. So maybe I did pull it out of a book, but this is my opinion. So if you feel apt to get mad at me or tear me apart or say you're stupid, that's not what witchcraft, why they believe in Diana and Aridia, the gospel, you got it all wrong and all that. This is my opinion. I'm not telling you what's in those books. I'm not telling you what's real and what's not real. I actually went through in that video saying that real is subjective. What you think is real, I may not think is real. What I think is real, you may think is real. Point is, yeah, that's just my view on it, and that's what helped me. Because when you start looking at witchcraft, my God, the fairy lore, it's so cool. And then you get into Diana, and then Hecate, and there's so many deities that, I mean, a lot of witchcraft, if you go just on YouTube, you don't actually do any book learning. They'll just tell you, well, you pick a deity, and you start offering shit to that deity, and, you can invoke or evoke, and, ask for this, and do this, and ritual this, and it's like, to me, at first, I was overwhelmed. It's like I said, I started the ceremony at Magick, and I used planetary bodies a lot, and was learning astrology, and I felt a pull to witchcraft, but I didn't know what deity to pick. I didn't know, and there's all this ancestor stuff, and then the fairy lore, and the elves, and the trolls, and oh my God, I mean, all of that's pagan, it's not necessarily witchcraft, but, so that's why I was like, why the hell is there so many different ones, and I ultimately came to that conclusion was, different people believed the goddess was different, we do that all the time with, or not we, but Christians or people of many faiths, if Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha, they'll tell you what Buddha was and Buddha wasn't. Uncle Birch has got a great video on that. If you're God, if you say what your God is, you're right. If you say what your God isn't or can't or doesn't do, then you're wrong. Because it's a goddess, all that is everything we know, everything we believe, everything we can think of, everything that is, and everything that we can't comprehend, we don't know about, and shit like that. But anyway, that's how I helped rationalize it. And, my wife, this is the point I kind of forgot about when I was talking last time. I lost my train of thought. But my wife doesn't, I don't even know if she's Christian, because we got married in a church and all that. So please don't hate me for that. But she doesn't necessarily believe in anything, I don't think, at the very moment. But she sees and hears me listen to a lot of different things, and she knows I'm big into the planetary bodies, because my candles, my incense, my clothes correspond to the day and all that. And so whenever she sees or hears me listening to some goddess deity stuff, she gets a little kind of looks at me funny. But when I correspond or respond to her or try to explain to her, that's the way I do it. I use the mind, the subconscious mind, male and the female, and I tell her, and that's how I explain it to her. I told her that, all these gods, or it was the male mind, the conscious mind. I mean, that's where they came from. They came from guys, The guys thought this was God, and that's what they put down in the book. And the girls, witches, whatever, that's what they thought was the goddess. They put that down in a book. I mean, both of those are probably aspects of the god and goddess, but they're definitely not the full version of it. There's no way us as humans can comprehend the full extent of any god or goddess. So that's what I was trying to hit then. But yeah, so if you were doing these things or picking a deity or trying to get into witchcraft and picking a deity and all that, and you needed to, or you were trying to, you thought deities were cool and all that, maybe you're just having trouble comprehending or getting on board. I don't really know what I'm trying to hit at here. What I'm trying to say is, maybe that'll help you out. Maybe the idea that your subconscious mind is represented by a woman, by a goddess, and your conscious mind is represented by a god. And you need... Hey, what's going on, everybody? for my picture, and the tarot card I use is the Empress. And, you know, people might say, well, what an idiot, it's an Empress, it's not a fucking goddess. But if you look lower on that little heart-shaped shield she's got there, Venus, a symbol, the female symbol is there, same symbol that is used for Venus. And if Venus isn't a goddess, well, I don't know what it is. I'm your Venus, I'm your goddess, your desire. I don't know, I fucked that up, but you get my point. But anyways, tapping the goddess now. Wicca, paganism, witchcraft, you know, it's okay to think about sexuality and fucking your goddess. No, I mean, it's not really frowned upon. As far as I've read, it's not really frowned upon. Technically, when you are having sex, you are doing that for your god or goddesses. If you can actually, in your mind, out loud, with a partner who's into the same shit, say, you know what, how about you fuck the god and I fuck the goddess while we're fucking each other? Not only is that role play, it might make it more exciting, but you're making it sacred, and it's probably going to be better. And if you can't hold back your fucking cum, this might actually help, because that goddess is going to say, no, you're not getting it, you're not going to go before I get mine, and actually fucking grab your nuts and make it stop. But anyways, that's not the point I'm trying to make. Maybe a helpful hint though to some of you. But tapping the goddess is what I call, or what most people call, meditation or ritual magic. For me, both are tapping the goddess. That's what you're trying to do. And the manifestation is basically when you actually impregnate that goddess. Your manifestation is your baby coming out, is one of the many ways I look at this. You know, everything is mind. It all starts in the mind. Mentalism is the first hermetic principle. You know, you have your idea. That's your idea. It's in your mind. And if you're a magician or a witch, you know, you're going to get your candles ready, your incense ready, any other things that you got, and you're going to go perform a ritual. You're going to make your circle first, do your banishings, and then you're going to have either your goddess there or some ancestor stuff there, or whatever you're trying to get or perform. If it's a money spell, then you're going to be, you know, you're going to have a sigil or just a spell, something there, and you're going to burn that sigil. You're going to, well, most people will jerk off and then eventually burn that sigil or whatever to put in your subconscious mind. But the point is, you are putting that, you're trying to get your conscious mind, like I said, would be like the sun, and your subconscious mind would be the moon, right? Or the goddess. It could be Venus and it could be Mars, right? Because Mars is the male and Venus is the female. Well, Mars is that arrow with a fucking circle and a line in it. I mean, you look at any pictures when people draw a dick on someone's face, you got the balls and you got the dick, right? The arrow is just showing which way it's pointing, but it can kind of look like a knob. Venus has that hole there, right? So basically, you're trying to get your conscious mind to, you know, you're fucking your subconscious mind. You're tapping that goddess. People say tap into that subconscious mind, tap into that subconscious mind. Well, I said in a previous video that your subconscious mind is a representation of the goddess. I think is very beneficial to anybody that can't really meditate, or anybody who doesn't understand why there's so many deities and all that. Well, people pick a deity, a goddess, that represents that part of them. You know, Hecate is some people think is a dark goddess, but that's the one I look up to. That's the one I ask very nicely, like, if you're willing, I want to be your student, teach me all that you know. What I'm doing, really, I mean, from a conscious point of view, is telling my subconscious mind, like, I'm going to call you Hecate for a while, take on all these attributes from Hecate, and teach me the way Hecate would teach her students, you know, and then anything my subconscious mind has picked up, anything in the divine mind that is associated to Hecate is going to get filtered down through my subconscious and come to me. Once again, is this proven? Probably somewhere, and maybe not. But to me, this is what's real, and this is what works. So I don't really care if people say it's not true or if it's not real. That doesn't mean shit to me. Because what's not real to you is not real to somebody else. And somebody in a country that doesn't have fucking TVs yet, and yes, we still have tribes around here that don't have social media, TVs, or even Christianity there. They just go to fucking hell because they never believed in God and never went to church, but yet they never knew about it to be able to do it. Or those guys get a free pass. but everybody else that can choose. No, come on. Don't be such a fucking arrogant, ignorant prick or a hypocrite. So for me, that's what this is tapping the goddess. You are, okay, you want to fuck? Okay, let's fuck. That's your ritual. You're doing that. You're getting that. Same with meditation. Meditation is getting to that side for that to release information to you. You know, you're in the presence of the goddess. You're in the presence of the divine. And it's all through you. Whether there's a spirit actually standing beside you, touch you on the head, let that information go through you, or it's just something we're born with, and there's really no spirits all around us, is irrelevant. But it's been tried, tested, and is true that if you meditate, do ritual, you know, doesn't matter how you're built. If you can or cannot meditate, there are ways to get around this, and there is ways to make that cross communication between the unconscious and the conscious mind. I say sub and unconscious, they're interchangeable for me. Only reason why I switch sometimes is people don't like sub, because sub is under, you know, kind of like I said, left behind in the right way, you know, the left side of the mind is your un or subconscious mind, but they've put this left being bad stigma on it, so that people don't like using the word sub, so they say unconscious, but to me it's sub is just below, as above, so below, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter when the sun's up, the moon's down, but somewhere else that moon is up and the sun is down. It is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. But to tap into that is to have sex with that deity, is to connect your two minds. Now, that doesn't always just mean sex. Everything isn't sex in that sense, but everything, there is a law of gender. It's another Hermetic principle that for anything to manifest, you need male and female energies, positive and negative energies, and they both need to connect to create one, and it'll create either a male or a female, or just another thought or spirit or whatever. But point is, you need both male and females. Cool, my garage door just came open. Like, I don't know if people are coming in to listen, or by people I mean beings or spirits, or maybe they're gonna come give me any extra ideas to shoot out here. I only got a few minutes left, but yeah. So when I say tap in the goddess, and I have the Empress card up there, well, what I mean is, you know, cross-communicating, getting your subconscious mind to give you information. And that's what meditation is. Meditation is allowing the subconscious to talk to you. It's to give you those ideas. Now, it takes a while to get there. And in that book that I was recommended by Freighter Xavier on the Mind and Magic YouTube channel, went to Liam Thomas Christopher book. And, you know, one of the first exercises on there is for meditation is to stare at a point on a wall for 20 minutes, you know, and instead of emptying your mind like a lot of meditation, so you try to think about nothing, lay there and think about nothing, which if you manage to do it, it is pretty fucking cool what can happen. But if you can't do that at first, well, that's why he's saying focus on that point and only think about all the different facets, everything about that point, because this way you're not training to get rid of all the thoughts out of your mind, have absolutely no thoughts. You're training your mind to think about only one thing at one time. Fuck all this multitasking shit. Fuck trying to do 10 million things at once, because then you don't accomplish anything. Focus on one fucking thing at one time. From that one thing, a bunch of things are going to come out of it. You know, you get some information. Okay, you try to go back to the point, because that information is going to bring you to a different topic. Back to that point, you get more information, get more information, get more information. If you're lucky, at the end, you're going to have that one point you looked at with 10 brand new topics that came to you because of that one point. All right? And that corresponds to so many things. A symbol, you know, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a symbol is worth 1,000 pictures, which is worth another 1,000 words, which means it just keeps going bigger like a fucking triangle or pyramid. I mean, and that's profound. That is huge. When one point can give you all this information, and all you have to do is stop and concentrate on one thing at one time. That is in a lesson of itself, and highly regarded, and highly spiritual, and highly important, and highly recommended for everybody and anybody to do, especially in our saturated, dumbed down society that we have today, which has many pros, but also many cons. So, meditation getting your mind out of the way. And if that can't be done, if you cannot do that, there are other ways around getting stuff into your subconscious mind, okay? If you're doing the dishes, let's say, and the dishes is something you've done a lot, your conscious mind just kind of takes over, your unconscious mind kind of takes over because it's been a habit. That's something that you learned in there. The point of affirmation is doing something for 20 to 30 days, 1,000 times a day in those 30 days, 21 days, to create that habit that it just happens naturally. And that's because it gets into your subconscious mind, where your subconscious just takes over and does things for you. All right? That's how that whole process works. So if you're doing something like the dishes, where it's your subconscious mind actually taking over the dishes, and you're able to carry on a conversation with your wife, and I don't know about you, but if I'm doing the dishes and she's talking about me, I come up with some pretty profound shit to say about some bullshit gossip she's bringing up about work that I really don't care about. And I'll give her these insights, and she'll look at me like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know either where that came from. But that's why. My subconscious is right there. I've tapped into it, not even realizing it. Which is why breathing is highly important in your meditation. Because breathing is Gemini, right? It's your lungs, right? It's a part of Gemini. Gemini is what? Air. It's your thoughts. It's the mind, okay? And it controls the lungs and the arms, right? Two of them. But breathing is one of those things where your subconscious controls when you're sleeping and controls whenever you're not thinking about breathing. Like during this video, I'm not thinking about breathing one bit in this video. I'm just doing it. My subconscious mind is doing that for me, right? So if you can do that, right? Breathing is one of those things where, just breathing on its own can't really get the subconscious to come unless you're in some kind of meditative state, or you are actually trying to do that. And that's why it's used to tap into that subconscious mind, holding your breath, for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, holding no breath for 4 seconds, breathing in 4 seconds over and over and over again is great. And I like to just see how long I can hold my breath at that point. Wow. Focusing on that dot on the wall and shit like that really opens up those connections. But doing something that you can do on your subconscious mind, like something as mundane as the dishes or the sweeping or that, while you put on something like an affirmation video, or just put on some information that you really want to get into your head, is a good way to get that shit into your subconscious without actually doing ritual magic or anything like that, which is kind of the whole purpose of TV. TV is there to put you in this kind of hypnotic state. And while you're watching that, there's symbolisms in there that these people have these great lives and money, and they don't have to worry about this shit. And, that you don't have that. You're not as good as them. Or that every one of these TV shows, they always have someone who dies of cancer, or kids get sick, or some murders happen, or some shit, which tells us, maybe not us as well. We don't believe what happens on TV. But your subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not real. So those messages are getting into your brain. But anyways, that's just a little helpful couple tips and tricks. It's not really anything very important or any things that are really going to help you. And maybe if people did kind of clue into what I was saying and found the helpful meanings in there, that's fucking awesome. Good job. And if not, my next video, I'll probably give you some more precise practices. But remember, tap in that goddess. You're trying to impregnate her with your manifestations. And guess what? If you're not doing magic to try to do that, it's being done to you. Basically, you're getting raped and having all these babies that you got to take care of that you did not want to take care of. But I thought my time ran out, but it's going over the 15-minute limit, and I don't really know why. So I'll just keep going. That kind of rape baby thing was not very great example of how I wanted to put that, but that is how magic is being used against you. Getting all these ideas and negative ideas in your head and telling you how life should be, how your life